Hi, welcome everyone. Um, you're on the Girls Who Code session, and we're going to be starting in just a minute. We're just going to let everyone kind of get settled. So, great. I think you're in for a great session here with Kibret. She has lots of good information, not only about the clubs, which run year round, but also about some exciting summer information. So, that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Kibret, who is the Senior Community Partnership and Outreach Manager with Girls Who Code. Take it away, Kibret.
Thank you, Kim. Really appreciate you making time and space for Girls Who Code at this conference. And thank you to all of you who joined. I really appreciate your time this afternoon. As Kim said, my name is Kibret Yebetit, and I'm a Senior Community Partnerships Manager at Girls Who Code. That means that I have the pleasure of working with educators, librarians, nonprofits, community leaders, really anyone and everyone who's interested in bringing our free curriculum to their students. My goal for this session is just to have you all leave with a better understanding of how we can close the gender gap in technology by bringing Girls Who Code's free computer science curriculum and resources to your communities and to your students. So with that, as people are still settling in, I would love it if folks could just throw in the chat a brief introduction. It's always helpful to know who we are, who's collected here, and where we work. I'd love to keep that in mind as I go through the program details and make sure to keep this super relevant for all of your communities. So feel free to just continue to introduce yourself in the chat, and I'll go through the agenda for today. Let's take a moment to review what you can expect to learn today. I'll definitely start by sharing more about the gender gap in tech. What is it? What are we trying to solve? What is the problem exactly? And then I'll share more about our clubs program and summer programs. Those are two free programs that you can bring to your students and your communities. We'll go over how to apply, next steps. You'll have all the resources you need to either start a club or help your students apply to our summer programs. I want to draw attention to the link at the bottom. If you are interested in learning more, receiving a copy of this presentation so that you don't have to take furious notes throughout, please feel free to sign up at that bit.ly link, bit.ly/GWC programs 23. And I'm happy to share a copy of this presentation as well as some of the other resources that I'll go over throughout. You can also just sign up if you want to be in touch with me if you have questions afterwards. Great. With that, I'll get started. Let's talk about computer science skills and the gender gap in tech. Computer science skills are extremely high in demand. I'm sure that's a surprise to no one in the current job market. There are over 500,000 open computing jobs right now that are waiting to be filled, but there are actually less than 80,000 computer science graduates in the United States each year. And these opportunities will only continue to grow in the future. So this will be really important when students begin considering career paths. Computer science jobs also average a salary of over $100,000. This means this kind of education can provide really transformative socioeconomic opportunities and pathways for students who wish to pursue. And the skills that are developed when learning to code are highly flexible. CS is not just for folks working in traditional big tech companies. 67% of computing jobs are in non-tech industries like fashion, arts, entertainment, medicine. Not to mention building apps, websites, and programs can serve as a powerful tool to combine passions. That's something we always like to remind students of so that they know that when they're walking into an experience or a curriculum that is coding focused, there's certainly opportunities for them to marry their pre-existing interests and passions and find ways to use coding to support them. Yet, even with all of these exciting opportunities, not everyone has always been included in this field. Today, less than 1 in 5 computer scientists are women, and an even smaller amount are women of color. This gender gap in technology has continued to widen over the past few decades, and that's become a huge problem. One, when women and non-binary folks are pushed out of this space, they lose out on these high-paying jobs and economic opportunities. But two, we also lose out as a society when companies create new products or programs that do not include diverse perspectives from all walks of life. So we really are on a mission to make sure that not only are women, non-binary folks, people of color able to get a foot in the door and get these job opportunities, but also we're really eager to make sure that all different folks are represented in the products and services that we all get to participate in tech. That's where Girls Who Code has come in, or we like to think we come in. We are an international nonprofit leading the movement to closing this gender gap in tech and change the image of what a programmer looks like and does. And we do this through providing these free computer science programs to students to help them prepare for their career. There are three central pillars that underpin our educational philosophy. The first is more than code. We're not just teaching students how to program, we really are teaching them computational thinking, how to break down problems and think creatively, which are helpful skills, like I said, to have in any profession. We're also empowering our students to be brave and take risks, building their resiliency to tackle any challenge that they may face. We always like to remind students that learning to code is truly learning a language. You have to make mistakes to get better. It's impossible to improve without a group to work with. And so it's helpful to remind students that this is about more than just coding. It really is about learning a new skill, a new language, and being able to face the obstacles that come alongside that. And very quickly to address in the chat, the link is bit.ly/GWC programs 23. I'll also surface that link again. The second pillar is sisterhood. We let students know that they belong. Research has shown that having a supportive group to learn and grow with can really help with retention. And we see that in our clubs programs every day. We help students feel supported through an emphasis on community and diverse representation in our curriculum. Once students join this supportive and diverse sisterhood, they are members for life. We really will stay in touch with students for as long as they'll have us staying in touch with them. They can always lean on Girls Who Code for anything, and that is well after their club experience or their summer program experience. They can reach out for job opportunities, tech interview help. We have a wide array of programs and activities that students can participate in well after the high school level. And finally, by prioritizing real-world relevance and impact, that third pillar, we show students how they can use computer science to change their communities, to change their lives. And we empower them to use these CS skills no matter what they want to accomplish. Our largest program is certainly our clubs program. It's probably the program we're most known for, and that is designed for 3rd through 12th grade students of all genders. Students of all genders are welcome to join any Girls Who Code club. We focus on activating interest in computer science, introducing students to coding with lots of tutorials across all skill levels, highlighting women and non-binary workers in technology, and developing a network that is really grounded in sisterhood. So we're always bringing back those 3 pillars into every program that we offer. And when you start a club, you gain access across our curriculum, resources, training, and support, including our Clubs Fund opportunity, which I will definitely go into more detail. In addition to the clubs program, however, Girls Who Code offers 2 summer programs for high school students where we teach coding and computational thinking through project-based learning and connect our students to industry partners, And that's really key. That's the main distinction of our summer programs from our year-round clubs program. There is this amazing opportunity for high school students to connect with our corporate partners who sponsor the program, to get to meet female and non-binary workers in tech so that they can really understand what it means, not just to learn coding skills, but to work in the tech space and to understand the diverse opportunities that are available to students depending on what they're most interested in and what they're most passionate about. The first of these programs is the Summer Immersion Program, and the second is the Self-Paced Program. I will dive into the distinction between those 2 programs in detail later, but I just want everyone to know that there is that Clubs program and the summer programs. We're going to go over both, but if you have questions throughout, feel free to drop them in the chat. Great, so let's talk about Girls Who Code clubs. Girls Who Code clubs are open to communities across the country. They are free programs for 3rd through 12th grade students of all genders to join that sisterhood. Like all of our Girls Who Code programs, clubs are aligned with those 3 pillars. teaching students more than coding, building that sisterhood, and lastly, making sure that it is relevant to their day-to-day lives and that they can see the impact of learning coding skills in the real world. In order to cater to unique learning needs and styles of students in different age groups, which I'm sure we all know the difference between, we have divided our clubs program into a 3rd through 5th grade clubs program and a 6th through 12th grade clubs program. So if you are interested in starting a club, bringing our curriculum to your school or your site, know that you will be asked which grades you work with. And so you'll have to think about whether you're catering towards elementary school students or middle and high school students. Either is fine. You can also do both. That 3rd through 5th grade program follows a book club model. It teaches beginner level concepts with the option of online or unplugged activities. So that's really interesting because obviously this is coding, a lot of it is computer based, but for the younger students, we have adapted the curriculum so that it's possible to do completely offline if that's something you're interested in doing with younger students. It follows a book club model, so you can bring our Girls Who Code books to your school, to your library, to your site, and have those there forever as a resource, and students can just use the books every time they're in a Girls Who Code club session. Meanwhile, for that 6th through 12th grade program, it definitely teaches computer science concepts as well, but all difficulty levels. So while the 3rd through 5th is focused obviously on intros and beginner to computer science, 6th through 12th graders, regardless of prior CS experience, will be able to jump in and find tutorials and activity sets that fit their skills. And for folks serving students in both age groups or serving a large number of students, we encourage you to start multiple clubs. There's no limit to how many you can start at a particular site, especially if each club will have a unique set of students. We certainly encourage you to start a club for, your Tuesday group or your Thursday group, depending on how your programs are structured. And most importantly, our clubs program is designed so that anyone can start a club. And I really do mean anyone. So whether you have some CS experience, whether you've never done coding before in your life, we can help you teach your students. We provide the curriculum, the training, and the support. So as a club facilitator, meaning the volunteer who's running the club for your students, you can definitely feel supported by Girls Who Code and all the materials and resources that you will receive. We believe that all girls have the ability to change their communities through code, which is why we serve all girls, especially those that are underrepresented in tech, those who are free and reduced lunch eligible, those who have little or no exposure to computer science, and those who are female regardless of gender assignment at birth. A reminder again, students of all genders can join the Girls Who Code Club. We have lots of co-ed Girls Who Code clubs. They get to wear a Girls Who Code t-shirt. Boys learn a ton as well. It's certainly a good opportunity for them to highlight female leaders in tech. So if you're thinking about how to start this club, how to focus on girls, certainly, but make it open to all students, definitely know that students of all genders can join. For those 3rd through 5th grade clubs, each club meeting consists of 3 main components. Everything here is a recommendation from us. It is a recommendation from what we've seen other club facilitators do. The program structure is actually very flexible. Any component that you see here, you can pull out of a session, you can put into another session, you can elongate, you can condense these sessions. We provide all of the lesson plans essentially so that you can adapt. So know that everything here is a recommendation and is probably ideal scenario, but if you're short on time or if you can already see ways where this doesn't fit into your programming structure, just know that you can certainly adapt it to fit it. So for those those 3rd through 5th grade clubs, each club meeting consists of 3 main components with the optional opportunity to do a community building sisterhood activity to start the meeting off. The reading is broken up with chapter guides and activities that encourage students to be brave and resilient as they learn about what computer science concepts are. Plus, the coding challenges can be done on a computer using Scratch or entirely offline. Each meeting ends with a wrap-up, which is an opportunity to reflect and provide feedback and really just have the students bookend the session and participation. You have a sisterhood activity at the beginning, you have a wrap-up at the end. It's a fantastic opportunity to reinforce that mistakes will happen, we will all write bad code, but what's important is talking about the challenge and how you overcame it. So that's the intention of that wrap-up. For the 6th through 12th grade curriculum, it's structured very similarly, starting off with a welcome and that optional sisterhood activity and ending with a wrap-up. However, key differences include the Girls Who Code Tech spotlights, where club members explore bravery, resilience, creativity through real-life examples of computer scientists. Everything in our curriculum is housed on HQ, which is our online learning platform. You as a potential club facilitator, as well as your students, would create an account, log on, and have access to the material there. When you log on as a facilitator, you will see in the 6th through 12th grade curriculum that there is these Girls Who Code Tech spotlights. This is a fantastic library of dozens of examples of female leaders in tech. We often find that folks who can't start a club right away or who are interested in using the curriculum but don't have funding to do the clubs program after school incorporate this Girls Who Code Tech spotlight into day-to-day learning or as a one-off activity, right? It's just an opportunity during Women's History Month, maybe, to highlight female leaders in tech without necessarily having to go through the entire coding tutorial. It is a real favorite of our club members and a fantastic opportunity, like I said, to reinforce that women of all different backgrounds and creeds are in computer science field, and it helps students really get inspired to understand what people are building and making and inventing that we're not aware are, women or non-binary created inventions. To start a club, all you need is a space in a nonprofit host. So basically just means you couldn't have your club meetings at a for-profit space like a Starbucks or something like that. It just has to be hosted at your site or at your school. Technology and internet connection are the second thing that you will need. They're required for each club member at that 6th through 12th grade club level, and they're optional for the 3rd through 5th grade clubs. Our curriculum is completely compatible with PCs, with Macs, with Chromebooks. iPads are also an option, but can only be used for our beginner self-guided tutorials in the coding language Swift, because we developed that with Apple. So PCs, Macs, Chromebooks are definitely compatible for all of the programs that we're doing. And then finally, there are 2 roles that every club needs: a facilitator and a decision maker. The facilitator is the volunteer who guides the club members through that curriculum, right? They're our main point of contact from us at Girls Who Code, someone who is either in the virtual session or in the in-person session with students each time. This person must be 18 years or older and pass a background check if they are not already employed by your organization. Of course, if they are, they've already done that process, and so the club application will be pretty brief for them. The decision maker is someone employed by the club host site, so your organization, but they're more likely to be a point of contact around multiple clubs or decision making. They don't necessarily need to be the club facilitator who is in the session with the students. Now, these roles are definitely not meant to confuse. They could be the same person if the point of contact is the person who's also running the sessions. That works for us. It's really just a way to understand who Girls Who Code should reach out to with support and different resources. And then once you have those 3 things, a space, tech, and someone to run the club, we really will provide and support you with everything else. As you start to think about who might facilitate a club at your organization or site, it can be helpful to know that our club facilitators come from a variety of diverse roles, including teachers, librarians, nonprofit program staff, and even students. So if you're thinking, I'm not sure who would be the exact right person for this, or what their background should be, or what their experience should be, know that they really don't have to have any specific experience. They really just need the commitment to, work with students, dedicate time, guide their students through this new coding opportunity. But besides that, they can really come almost empty-handed, and we will provide them with all the resources and support that they need. Clubs frequently operate with one facilitator leading the entire curriculum, but this is not the only option. You can also have clubs with more than one facilitator, or clubs where the facilitator acts in a more advisory capacity and the club is run by the members or older students. We do need someone who's 18 years or older to be the club facilitator, but in the session, if you want to use your club as an opportunity for student leadership roles, especially with older students at that 6th through 12th grade level, you can definitely feel free to have your students play, or your club members rather, play a more crucial part in facilitation. All the resources are laid out, all the guides and the lesson plans have facilitation notes, so they can certainly tap into that role if that helps with capacity, or if it helps with other goals that you might have in terms of wanting to just get your students a little bit more engaged and participating at a leadership level. So lots of different options for how to actually run this club once you get started. And finally, no matter the unique circumstance of your club or the timing or whatever your format will be, we really are here to help with a robust suite of resources and benefits to support logistics and also that community building piece. You'll see that some of our most popular resources are listed here, including our flexible meeting guides, student recruitment toolkits, and different fun swag benefits. We all love when our entire club is decked out in the Girls Who Code Club t-shirts. That always helps them feel like they're really part of a team, something cool. And in particular, I want to highlight the two, yellow highlighted benefits as a club facilitator. The first is this $500 club fund for eligible clubs. And I really want to pause here and make clear like who is eligible for this club fund. Anyone who applies to start a club and is approved to launch is eligible for this $500 club fund. That's per club. This fund, because the program is completely free, is not meant to cover costs associated with it, but really anything that you want to purchase to enhance the club experience. We've seen folks just buy this, use this for snacks and things like that to help it be a time and a place that students can come back to regularly. We've seen other folks use it to buy supplementary books that they just want to make available to their students. We've seen other club facilitators purchase robotics kits and hardware, depending on their students' interests. It really is just a fund designed to make sure that you are not making any out-of-pocket costs and that you have really everything you need either on our website or through this club fund. And it is fulfilled through an Amazon wish list. So you would simply create the Amazon wish list, submit it to us, and then you would get all of your materials shipped really easily. The only requirement is that you have at least 3 students registered to your club. So once you start and you have your students that you know are part of this club, you'll register them on that HQ platform, and you'll be able to start getting swag benefits like t-shirts and this club fund as soon as you register that 3rd student. We will reach out. The next benefit I want to highlight is that regional retention specialist. This is a, a team across the country of regional specialists who are really there to be your live support. There's someone that you can email. There's someone that you can connect with on a call if you have questions that are a little bit more technical or more about how to use the HQ platform effectively. So if you're having issues with just like not seeing material or, more technical problems, this is someone that you can reach out to. If you also just have questions about best practices or the best way to facilitate your session, or if you have noticed that, you have less students in your club than at the beginning of the semester, this is someone you can reach out to just brainstorm ideas and talk to. They are your support. And they are really a fantastic resource for those of you who might feel like, I'm not really sure about this material and I could use as much advice as possible. The regional retention specialist is someone you can reach out to. So with those 2 highlighted benefits, I hope that reminds folks that really we are providing everything that you need outside of course, the time commitment and the dedication that the volunteer is providing to their students. So with that, I'm going to pause briefly on this slide just to show you how to apply. So it is a very, very brief application to start a club. Like I said, the only thing that takes a little time is if someone who is starting the club needs a background check. And really the most common circumstance that comes up is if a parent or a community leader, someone who's just not employed by your organization is volunteering to host this club, then they would go through that process. But I imagine that for most folks, it's someone on your team or on your staff who will be launching this club. They will complete the application, shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, just letting us know where this club is being hosted, what grade, and what resources and support that you'll need. And after that application is approved within 5 to 10 business days, you can use your HQ login to access that 120 hours of content and free material so that you can get started sharing it with your students. You would also receive a welcome email with a club code. This club code is just that unique code that you'll use to let your students know this is the club that you are enrolling into. And also you can use that for when you want swag benefits or fulfillment of that Amazon wish list. Always good to have that club code handy. So you'll get that in a welcome email. And then once you're ready, you can launch your club at any point during the school year. There's no deadline associated with it. You can start in the summer, the fall, or the spring semester. I really recommend, if you're interested in looking at the curriculum, but know that you're not going to, likely start the club this month, definitely still feel free to complete an application, because you can indicate on that application that my club will actually start meeting regularly with students toward the end of the year or in the fall semester. That's totally fine. But in the meantime, you have access to that curriculum, to those Girls Who Code tech spotlights, and it gives you an opportunity to just familiarize yourself, make yourself feel comfortable with the material you'll then share with students, as well as have some time to also reach out to that regional retention specialist if you have really specific questions. So application is girlswhocode.com/clubsapply. You'll be prompted to create that HQ account. Today, if you're not completing the application and just created an HQ account, you can do that and get a free preview of the curriculum. It's not the entire curriculum, but it's a preview if that's helpful in sharing with your staff or other folks on your team. If not, and you're ready to go, then I definitely encourage you to complete that application and indicate when you plan to launch your club anytime in the next year. Great. I'm just going to re-highlight that bit.ly link. I know I went through a lot of information about our clubs program, so if you have questions, we'll definitely review at the end. But if you want to receive a copy of those slides that I shared, definitely just go ahead to bit.ly/girlswhocodeprograms23, and I'll be happy to share that deck and all of the linked materials with you afterwards. But with that, now that you know all about the clubs program, I'm happy to start talking a little bit about our summer program as well. So the virtual summer immersion program started as an in-person program a few years back. Once the pandemic hit, we adapted it to be a virtual program, and we can now serve more students than ever, which is a really exciting opportunity. I'm going to add the link for this program flyer in the chat directly. There you go. So you can take a look. This is the flyer that you can share directly with students. Now, as I talk about summer programs, I will keep reiterating the distinction between our clubs program. Clubs program is year-round. There's no deadline, and an adult has to start the club at a site or at a school. The summer program is very different. We run this program. We have staff and instructors who will teach students. It is a summer program only, and it's for high school students in 9th through 12th grade, specifically for girls and non-binary students. Now, you'll remember that the clubs program is open to students of all genders. This program is specifically catered to girls and non-binary students because of that focus on career opportunities, as well as that focus on understanding what it means to actually be a woman or a non-binary person in these tech fields. So for this program only, I would encourage you to reach out to high school students, girls and non-binary students especially. The summer immersion program is a free 2-week daily virtual program for 9th through 11th graders. Students get to work on coding projects while also participating in some of those exclusive events I mentioned with our company partners like MetLife, Bank of America, and Accenture. Not only do they get to network with folks, they get to ask questions, they get to have specific virtual event access as a participant in this program to really get the opportunity to build mentorship, to build role models, and to have folks who they walk out of this program feeling like they know. They have an opportunity to get that sneak peek into the tech field by hearing from all of these guest speakers. And the program is designed for beginner and intermediate level coders. So if you have high school students who feel like they have a little bit of experience in coding, they can still certainly enjoy this program or learn something from this program because there's different skill levels. We know that oftentimes accessibility is a blocker for students that don't have an interest or that do not have an interest, and that's why we work hard to make sure that this program is really accessible and that students from all different backgrounds can apply. So I want to highlight a few SIP benefits that students are eligible for if they apply. Students that are interested in this program are eligible for a $300 SIP student grant. Now, again, the program is free. There's no cost to apply or participate. And this student grant is really just intended to make sure that if students are taking 2 weeks away from a summer job or some other opportunity where they could have been paid, to focus on building coding skills and joining the supportive sisterhood, we really want to thank them for it. And we want to make sure that they don't have to, spend anything or lose out on any other opportunities to participate. So they can apply for a grant up to $300 directly after they complete the application just to join the program. So I hope that that feels like a helpful benefit for students in your communities. They also have access to a teaching team that is there to support and encourage them, in addition to those mentoring opportunities and exclusive virtual events with those company partners. So I'd say that from a perspective of the 2 different program offerings for summer, the summer immersion program, daily live instruction, they have to be at their computers in the afternoon, and in the early afternoon and evening, they have opportunities to join optional virtual events. I'll say just, anecdotally from feedback I've heard from students, they love the summer immersion program. I think especially for girls and non-binary students, it's a really, really fantastic way for them to get a sneak peek into the tech world, but also to just meet other students like them who are interested in coding, but not necessarily experts or aren't really sure if they want to major in this. We've heard from a lot of students who stay in touch after this program, and it really helps to influence the decisions that they're making at that high school level about what they want to do in college, what they want to study, and what they want to, plan to pursue for their post-secondary career. So I'd say that if you're thinking about which programs to share with students, the summer immersion one is a really fantastic opportunity. Now, all that being said, there is a version of the program that is self-paced, because we know that there are competing interests and priorities for the summertime, especially for our high school students. And if a 2-week commitment is tough, or they can't make it, or it doesn't fit into their schedule, this program is a 6-week program for 9th through 12th graders. So the daily live session is for 9th through 11th. For this program, 12th graders are also eligible to apply, which is nice, since typically at that senior level, they probably had all their programs in the past. So this is a fantastic opportunity for seniors as well. This program is also for students who are beginner and intermediate level. There are 3 learning tracks available to choose from in web development in HTML, CSS, or JavaScript, or cybersecurity, and our brand new data science track in Python. So even if you have students who have already done the summer immersion program or have done one of our programs in the past, they're certainly eligible for this one because there's a new learning track, so it'll be something brand new for them. And again, with both these programs, the goal is for students to learn what it's like to work in these fields, in these spaces, and hear from women and non-binary professionals in the field. It helps students understand that this is a possibility for them. It really illustrates that real world relevance and impact that we talk about in our educational philosophy, because it is jam-packed 2 weeks of meeting a lot of different professionals and almost trying to decide, who inspires you the most. In addition to what we hope will be an accessible program for all students, we want to emphasize the networking and community components. They can start building their professional network. They will walk away from this experience having built apps or websites. So they'll also have a link in that they can put in a portfolio or in a college application. So they'll really walk away with tangible kind of evidence of their progress or of their work in this program. And then, of course, computer science skills are useful in any industry. So even if, we have students who walk out of this program and go, I'm not going to be a software developer, but now they know web development and they use that for a small business that they're interested in doing. Coding is one of those things that is, ever present in all of our different professional careers. And so it's certainly helpful for them to have these skill sets, even if they're not 100% sure they're, going to engineering school. And finally, we know that everything is easier when you have that supportive community to lean on, which is what our program is all about, building professional and also personal relationships. So I cannot emphasize the value of students just meeting other high school girls and non-binary students who are also just trying this out for the first time. And I can obviously talk about this all day, but I think it would be really helpful and illustrative to hear from a former summer immersion program student. So I will go ahead and play some feedback.
Hi, my name is Evelyn, and this summer I took part in Girls Who Code's Round 2 Summer Immersion Program sponsored by Synchrony Finance. And one key lesson that I learned was really just to break outside of my comfort zone. Before taking part in this camp, I would have never considered doing anything STEM related. I've always kind of been a humanities, business, law type of person, and it's kind of what I want to pursue in college. So, STEM, let alone something as intricate and complicated like computer science, never even crossed my mind. But as I was researching more virtual opportunities this summer, the Girls Who Code program showed up, and I decided to take part in it. So here I am after completing the program a few weeks later, and I can definitely say it was one of the best experiences that I've ever had. In addition, it kind of broke that stigmatization around coding for me because I always thought that it was super duper complicated. And I think I was honestly just thinking more about the back end of it. But because the summer immersion program taught me more about the front end of coding, like designing through CSS, HTML, JavaScript, it appealed a lot more to me. And it also allowed me to combine more of my interests, whether it was through the activist toolkit, where I was able to make an informational site about gun control, or just portfolios about myself, like I would on, for example, a LinkedIn page. So yeah, this school year I'm going to be taking part in my very first AP Computer Science course. And I can definitely say it was only because of programs like Girls Who Code, which gave me the confidence to go outside of my comfort zone and try new things. Hey, I might even major in computer science later on in college. But thank you, Girls Who Code, for giving me the confidence to do everything and try everything, no matter if I end up pursuing it in college or not.
Evelyn is like a rock star summer immersion program student. I think she is exactly that example that I was trying to illustrate of someone who really took the lessons learned and applied it to her professional and potential career interests. I think what she said at the end is also really, really important, which is this is just an opportunity for students to get their foot in the door and get a sense of what this world looks like so they can decide if they want to pursue it. So they can decide if they want to pair their passions with coding or if they want to do something else. But it's always fantastic to do it with supportive network. And so with that, I will just briefly share how students can apply. It's a very similar process, a very brief application. So high school eligible girls and non-binary students can go to girlswhocode.com/summer apply, and it's a very brief application. We're really interested in learning more about students' experience with CS and familiarity already. It does not ask for GPA, transcript, or any recommendations, so it's certainly something that they can do. And the deadline for this program to apply is March 24th. So a few more weeks where students have time to apply. Great. Well, thank you so much for letting me talk about both programs today. I know it's a lot of information, so I did want to leave some time for questions. I'll just pause on this slide so that you have all the links available to you, but I'm happy now to talk through any specific details about the clubs program or the summer immersion program that anyone is curious about.
So I don't know if you can see, there's a question in the chat. It says, for the self-paced, is 6 weeks an estimate on how long it should take, or do they lose access to the program after that?
That's a great question. I do think 6 weeks is basically the longest amount of time available for students to complete it. It is at their own pace. So if they go through more material in 1 week than another, that's totally their, up to them and their schedule. But they will, yes, only have access to the curriculum or the materials for 6 weeks. If that's something that for a specific reason and scheduling or timing that feels like it puts your students not in a good position to participate, definitely let us know. We can talk to folks about providing that access to curriculum for a longer period of time.
Great, thank you. And also thank you for being so flexible with that. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I have a question that comes up often is programs want to do Girls Who Code, but they find that students are somewhat hesitant to join it might be intimidating for them, or they just aren't, kind of like the student we saw, aren't sure it's for them. Do you have any like recruitment tips or any suggestions for that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's definitely something, Kim, that we hear from all of our different school networks, after school networks, about how do we keep students engaged and involved. I'd recommend in our curriculum, there is basically a suite of resources dedicated to planning your first meeting. And we give a lot of support and advice for that first meeting, because we find that when students feel invested in the trajectory of this club program, or what we're going to be working on or building together in the club program, those clubs have far better rates of like retention and just keeping the group either the same level or growing it as weeks go by. So I think first, just to garner initial interest, it's useful to use that first meeting to demonstrate what coding is in a way that they probably aren't familiar with. And so I'm putting in the chat a link to girlswhocodegirls.com. Now, our main website is girlswhocode.com. This is like a game or an app that we developed that's called Girls Who Code Girls, and it's a fantastic, I think, entry point for students to think about what coding is in a really fun way. Students are creating an avatar, but they get to see the code that they're contributing to that changes the avatar's hair color or outfit choice and things like that. So when you, I think, contextualize coding and what you're going to be working on in this club alongside or within students' interests, like video game development and things that they do in their day-to-day, it really helps students understand, like, okay, we're building an app in this club, right? Because coding, could mean anything to them. And I think we really try to use that first club meeting to help them see that exactly that coding can be anything.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks. I think that's very helpful for people. I want to just open it. Does anyone else want to come off mute or put in the chat if you have any questions? So one other thing that I've, again, seen and was wondering about is you talked about the support for facilitators. Can you kind of just elaborate or talk about that a little bit more? Because that is also a point of hesitancy where someone may say, well, I don't know anything about coding. How am I going to help these students who also don't know anything?
Yeah. No, it's definitely the number one question I get from folks. I think that, especially in this virtual space, but also in just general educator or education provider spaces, we all want students to be exposed to STEM. Like, we all want them to get this education in this curriculum. But yes, feeling like you are the person to like illustrate it or to guide them through it can be very, very overwhelming. And so all of the resources that are dedicated for the facilitator specifically are in what we call a facilitator toolkit on HQ. So if you apply, you will see that toolkit and all of the resources online. What lives in those resources, or what's included, are really a lot of like best practices to help you as a facilitator know what to do when you get stuck, or who to reach out to Girls Who Code if you get stuck. That's for more like technical support, just really feeling comfortable leading these sessions. Now, when it comes to content and just understanding the tutorials and activities yourself, I can say that there's a lot of facilitator notes and guidance that can be like read or reviewed ahead of the session so that you feel comfortable, and then you can reach out to that regional retention specialist and say, I'm trying to do the activity first before I do it with my students. Can you, help me? I'm stuck on this. That is exactly what the regional retention specialist team is for and what they're able to help with. So I would say that the facilitators who have the most success, or who were nervous but then find that, it got easier, it's a mixture of reaching out, when you really need help, just like genuinely leaning on us and that retention team, but also giving yourself the opportunity to have some time before your club launches to review the materials and then like ask those questions. Everything on HQ is something that you can do on your own first. Like, there's ways to track progress, but there's certainly nothing you do wrong by like going through the materials first. It doesn't change your students' experience. So I find that for folks who know this is something you want to start in the fall, right, as opposed to the summer, maybe, using the summer to just look through the materials online is the number one thing that helps people feel more comfortable, because then on day one, it doesn't feel like they're also reading, you know, the notes right ahead of their students. They feel like they've at least done 1 or 2 exercises. And then the last thing I'll say is we also have facilitators who it's not even a matter of, you know, not wanting to dive in, but capacity and time. It's like hard to find the time to review things ahead of the club session and things like that. So I would say the second tip is just make it work for you. You know, we recommend weekly meetings. For the 3rd through 5th graders, we say at least 5 meetings, because the amount of material we provide, it's ideally divided in at least 5 sessions that you're meeting with students. But if you know that that's something you want to do for the full year, break the sessions down, like make each session less overwhelming in terms of the content you want to get through, and extend the entire series. So maybe something that was originally going to be 5 meetings over 1 semester could be 10 to 15 meetings over a few months. And that way, I think it also helps the workload, you know, be a little bit easier on a week-to-week basis or on a month-to-month basis, depending on how often you plan to meet with your group.
That's a great suggestion, because yeah, time and capacity, always an issue.
It's what,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's what we're fighting sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that most facilitators are able to either split the work with another facilitator in terms of the sessions, or yeah, just meet less often if that's more helpful for you and your students.
That's great. Are there any other questions out there? I don't see anyone raising their hand. Well, Kibret, thank you so much. Girls Who Code, I can just say I've had experience with it in a previous job, and the girls who were involved loved it. They really got a lot out of it. And I remember one of them coming back to me after doing the summer immersion program and said, I finally know what I want to do. So it was just life-changing for her. So thank you for doing that. It's always nice to see when someone finds a passion. So that's what you have to be thankful for. In the chat, I put Kibret, or I put the link to the exhibit hall. If you want, you can contact Kibret directly. Her email is on the screen, but you can also go through the exhibit hall and make contact with Girls Who Code that way. Also, I'm putting in the chat a link to our session evaluation. So if you have any, if you want to provide some feedback, we would really appreciate it. We're hoping to continue this event next year, so let us know how this went. Okay, I also just want to remind everyone, there's one more exciting session to go. This is our closing plenary session, and we're going to hear from Amanda Gutierrez from Nebraska, and she is one of the flight crew for Million Girl Moonshot. So she's going to share her experiences in out-of-school time, as well as some of her experiences while being on the flight crew. So make sure you stick around for that. That session begins at 12:30, 1:30, or 2:30, depending upon where you are at. So again, Kibret, thank you so much. This was very, very informative.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. And like I said, this can be the first of many conversations. So if you have other questions, feel free to reach out through the exhibit hall, and I'm happy to connect with you. Thanks all.
Great. Okay, thank you all, and hope to see you at the plenary session. Have a good day.